Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Liz Pimper, and I'll be your moderator for today's WJE webinar, Avoiding the Unexpected, Roofing Asset Management Fundamentals. During the next hour, WJE architect Erik Murray and structural engineers Remo Capolino and Leah Ruther will discuss how to obtain, organize, and analyze information about your roofing system so that future maintenance and replacement planning can be implemented and tracked to avoid unexpected roofing failures and costly related building damage. This presentation is copyrighted by Wiss Janney Elsner Associates. And now I'll turn it over to Leah to get it started. Leah?
Hey, thank you, Liz. So we'll start by some learning objectives for today. So we're hoping by the end of the presentation, you'll have a handle on some of the basic capabilities and benefits of incorporating a roof asset management program, learn what's important when it comes to roof assessments and roof management, identify some possible outputs and analytics that using an asset management tool can generate, and then ideally prioritize some timely roof maintenance and improvement projects for your buildings. So a brief outline, we'll look at some key concepts as it relates to asset management. Like I said, we'll talk about what really matters when evaluating roofs from a condition and durability standpoint, and then look at those first two bullets through two case studies. So asset management, key concepts, better decisions require better information and context. So I'm going to start with a hypothetical example about roof service life. This is based on actual experience that we have with roofs over the number of years, and what that can mean by incorporating an asset management program. So you see a graph here. On the bottom is service life in years. On the left-hand side is cost or value in thousands of dollars. And we're going to start with a well-installed roof that assume it costs about $500,000 and gets you to about 20 years if you don't include any type of maintenance or repairs along the way. One other thing to comment on is that purple line, that horizontal purple line is establishing sort of the condition where the roof replacement or major repair should be considered. But yeah, so the orange line is a well-installed roof. Like I said, no maintenance, no other involvement along the way. Oops. Next would be maybe a poorly installed roof. So poor drainage, just not great detailing. You may start to see leaks or damage or require some major repair within the first 5 to 10 years. Maybe those repairs don't last very long and you end up with a roof that gets you to maybe 15 years. On the other side of that, though, is a well-installed and a well-maintained roof. So that means on targeted intervals with good technical input, you're performing some maintenance and repairs, maybe 5 every 10, 20 years of $5,000 to $10,000 at each interval, and that can extend your service life maybe 5 to 10 years. Adding to that would be, you've implemented those maintenance and repair efforts, and at about 20 years, maybe you're seeing that, not having any leaks, but the roof membrane itself has some UV degradation or it's aged, and it's a good candidate for a roof coating or recover. That might cost about $150,000, but that can give you another 10 to 20 years of service life, again, all while incorporating some of those maintenance and repair efforts along the way. So taking a step back, looking at the well-installed roof versus a well-installed roof with targeted maintenance and repairs and a recover. Let's talk numbers. What does that really look like? So that well-installed roof upfront cost is about $500,000. Again, no maintenance, no recover. Total cost of that roof is about $500,000 over that 20-year time frame. So the cost per year is about $25,000. On the flip side, looking at the roof, that purple line that we've well maintained, considered a recover, the upfront cost is about $500,000. We've incorporated maintenance over the lifespan of the roof. Averages out to maybe, say, $60,000. A recover at about 20 years, $150,000. So your all-in cost is about $710,000, but that's over 40 years. So the cost per year is about $17,000. So comparing the two, that's a 40% reduction in overall yearly cost. So kind of begs the question, wouldn't you want to buy something that's 40% off, especially when it's something you have to maintain your roof. And so that that opportunity exists when you consider implementing an asset management program. And we've seen the value of that, and we have actual data that suggests and can prove that. Oops. So if we talk about asset management, guiding principles that go into that, what matters most is owners are often challenged with the task of continually evaluating actionable information. So evaluating and understanding risk and comparing that relative to available budget, schedules. There's a lot of variables that come into play when making decisions. So the key concept there is establishing that baseline of risk, identifying issues or conditions that might require action, require repairs. So one option that we've executed on one of our case studies is we actually assigned a risk-based scoring index, so a numerical value to those conditions. And the opportunity that presented was to readily compare conditions to each other so you can see which ones to maybe make action on first, so you can have those more proactive decisions. Really can help you identify the low-hanging fruit that's not in plain sight and differentiate between what matters most when some of those choices can get a little more difficult. So what funnels into an asset management program? Obviously, ideally, you have quality inputs. That falls into sort of two different buckets, and you see those here. That's owner organizational data and consultant and assessment data. So what do I mean by that? So from an owner perspective, operational priorities. They're going to have the most intimate knowledge of what matters to them. So for example, you might have several roof areas that are presenting issues. One might be over a CEO's office. One might be at a partially occupied warehouse, or one is maybe over a bank of servers that help run your company. Those matter, and those need to be part of the asset management program. Financials are obviously a main component as well. Understanding your budgets and your limitations when it comes to finances, like I said, management insight, key component to an asset management program. Along with that is consultant and assessment data. So having an independent, experienced consulting team helps you assemble the technical condition data about your roof or your fleet of roofs. That means getting good field data, understanding repair costs, document review, etc. Consultants can help you narrow in on priorities based on technical expertise. So for example, your AE team should be able to help you identify critical conditions, remaining roof service life, provide some recommendations regarding repairs, replacements, recovers, etc. So having timely technical condition assessment about your assets is key to being able to anticipate what might be coming down the pipeline. So all that to say, it's really a collaborative effort. So like I said, quality inputs is dependent on having both the owner information and the consultant information and working together to make sure that those are funneling in and complementing each other. So taking a step back though, how do you actually execute or create an asset management program? First, that starts by gathering and collecting data about any subject roof or fleet of roofs. Obviously, we've come a long way in 40 years, so it started with pen and paper, and today we've got tablets and drones and all sorts of options at our disposal to collect data, which makes it easier and more efficient, and we can collect a larger volume of data. But along with that, software programs have also advanced, and these tools allow you to take the information you've obtained, obviously probably using one of those tools that I just mentioned, so drones or whatnot, and integrating it into a software program that allows you to readily view information, update it. It can be more interactive. You can have multiple users. So ideally, this software is a cloud-based program, kind of that list of items you see on the screen here, having it be low-code, user-friendly, customizable, something you can easily organize, filter, and analyze data so that you can make those better decisions. So really, whatever the right asset management application is for your organization, it should have an array of tools that help you evaluate current assessment data and have the ability to update and track conditions throughout the portfolio as new information is added. So what does that mean for asset management? Essentially, we've found ways to take static data and turn it into live data. So for example, think about a basic spreadsheet. You might have all your buildings listed on this spreadsheet with pertinent information about warranties or costs or roof install dates, things that are of value, but if it's stuck in a spreadsheet on John's desktop, it may be out of date within a few months or a year, or there may be duplicate copies. So using an asset management program and a software can help you make that data more readily available and therefore readily updatable and extract more pertinent information. So basically that means unraveling the data. So there's a lot of information that can go in and be extracted from the field and from the owner, and you need to unravel it somehow. You need to find a way to take that information in order to make deliberate and proactive decisions. And we do that by incorporating a version of an asset management program. It helps you untangle that web of information and make those deliberate, proactive decisions. So now that you've made those decisions and you've incorporated an asset management program, what are the benefits you'll see? So kind of listed on the screen here, it allows you to make a bigger picture decision from over several years. So you can have more targeted short-term decisions, targeted long-term decisions. It might allow you to manage a larger portfolio of assets and better understand them relative to one another. Occasionally it actually has, in one of the case studies, we'll mention that some of them highlight buildings or assets that are not as of higher value and you might consider offloading them. But the ultimate purpose is to extend service life of your assets, maximize value, and therefore ideally reduce costs over the long term. So all that to say, though, planning is all based on that good information of what assets are. You got to get good information by getting good field data. So the better information that goes in, the cleaner understanding of your organization's context, the easier it is to make better decisions, and especially when the answer isn't always obvious right in front of you. So Remo's going to jump in and talk about what does that look like, what really matters when you come to roof condition and durability.
Thank you, Leah. So the start of this is you have to know what you have, basically your roof condition and its durability. Any large, any organization with many physical assets, many roofs that has limited financial resources and time can benefit from these types of systems. What it does is it allows you to gather the condition and operational data about those roofs or those assets so that you can make data-informed decisions about repair, maintenance, replacement, or reinvestment of resources either towards or away from a group of assets if you're going to decide to long-term hold or to flip and remove from the portfolio. Basically, the better information that goes in and the clearer the understanding of your organization's needs or desires, the easier it is to make better decisions, especially when the right answer isn't just blatantly obvious. Let's face it, roofs are non-generating, non-revenue generating, and they're often neglected during the design, construction, and the life of the building. They get attention when they cause problems. The squeaky wheel gets the grease when they leak. Kind of a shocking statistic is 5% of a building's cost is attributed to the roof, but 95% of construction litigation is due to roofs or leaking roofs or water infiltration. While not important on the front end, they become very important on the back end, and we need to pay attention to them. So now that we're paying attention to them, we need to know what their condition is and their durability. And there's a logical correlation between the two. Durability will determine condition. It's really as simple as that. It's not that profound. There's durability profiles done by the Roof Consultants Institute, now called IBEC, in 1995 and 2000. There was industry surveys talking about the durability or life expectancy of roofs. You see metal is top of the list, and then there's other building products built up and other materials. But you'll note a lot of the mean roof life expectancies are below 20 years. And 20 years is kind of the industry standard for warranty issuance. And that leads me right into warranties. They're a great sales tool, but please don't rely on a warranty to keep water out of your building. A warranty doesn't mean the roof's not going to leak for that period of time. It only means that the manufacturer will fix it if the leak is a covered issue. And if you actually read your warranties, you'll see it has more exclusions and limitations than they do have protections. Why? Simple reason. The warranties are written by the attorneys for the manufacturer or the company issuing the warranty. So really, who are they written for? They're written to protect the manufacturer or the building owner. And many warranties will include in their list of exclusions that a failure to maintain or repair the roof in accordance with a warranty and to keep records of that maintenance and repair is reason for them to void their warranty. That said, there's also a wind speed warranty on the limitation on the warranties, and some of them will actually cite gale force winds, which on the Beaufort scale is 39 miles an hour. Not very protective as far as what it will cover and when they get to void the warranty. So the main aspects that control the condition of the roof, pretty simple. The original material selection, the quality of the original installation, the ongoing maintenance of the roof, and the exposure that the roof has to sustain during its life. So we'll talk about each of those. The material type, what type of roof do you have? Doesn't really get much more durable than metal. Copper, stainless steel, aluminum, very durable, and pretty much the longest life roof for the most part out there. Gravel surface built up roofing, probably the next durable. There's coal tar pitch roofs out there that in the field are over 80 years old. They're well protected. They have multiple layers of redundancy, just a very good, durable roof. Modified bitumen is one of the favorite sons these days. It kind of combines the benefits of a gravel surface built up because it has redundancy in plies, but it just has fewer plies, so it's not quite as durable. It's almost as thick, but fewer plies, so it's a little more sensitive to installation issues, but is a good durable roof. And lastly, you have single plies. They're probably the least durable of all the systems that are out there. There is no redundancy, hence the word single ply. And essentially, think of it this way, it relies on perfection of initial installation, lest you have leaks. If it's only one layer of protection and there's an imperfection, you have a leak, whether you see it or not. After the selection of the material, the quality of the installation becomes paramount. And what I can tell you is do your best and foam the rest just simply doesn't work. Just making things up as you go along is not a way to prevent water entry. A simple organization prior to the installation of these types of details and then proper execution of the detail makes for an effective and, in this case, serviceable installation. When you have 35 individual unit owners and all their refrigerant lines going in and out of a single penetration, if one person's line needs to be rerun, when it was foamed, it was a nightmare. Now that it's in a compartmentalized flashing, one line can be rerun at any time. And these days, what can't you buy on Amazon? If you can live with a stock size, you can have these things delivered to your door in 2 or 3 days. You don't even need custom fabrication anymore. Another obvious factor that controls the condition of your roof is the exposure. If you're beachfront high-rise looking out across the Atlantic Ocean that gets hit every 5 years with a Category 4 or Category 5 hurricane, that's going to impact the durability and the condition of the roof, or the durability will impact the condition of that roof. Your roof traffic will also impact how your roof performs and what its condition is. If your traffic is so frequent that you don't even have one, but you have 2 gas-powered snow blowers on your roof at all times, that's going to have an impact on the condition of your roof. And finally, when your roof use turns into abuse and it becomes, say, a workstation for interior renovations or fit outs from downstairs, that obviously will have impacts on the condition of your roof. Finally, maintenance is one of the most important things that you need to maintain or note for your roof. Maintenance should be routine. Building staff should be walking roofs monthly just to clear drains and gutters and just make notes of anything that doesn't look right. If it doesn't look right, it probably isn't. Make a note of it and tell somebody. After heavy weather, somebody should walk the roofs and make sure a branch or a tree didn't fall on the roof or through the roof. Aside from that, twice a year. Roofing contractors should come through before and after winters, usually the heavy weather months. Take a look at it. Think of it Easter and Thanksgiving, and just have the roofing contractor not only review the roof, but be prepared to make any, at that point, hopefully very minor repairs that might be needed. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure is the golden rule here. And then outside of having the contractor come in every year, having a roof consultant who really knows the aspects of all the roofing components and the interior occupancy should inspect the roof, its condition, and it should be done on a regular basis. The interval of the roof consultant's inspections is based on the occupancy. You know, if you're above a museum or a warehouse, that impacts the frequency. But also the roof type and the age of the roof. It could be something where you want a roof consultant in every year, or it could be every 5 years. It really depends upon the facility and the occupancy. It's this roof consultant report that's going to be used as the raw data that gets input into the asset management software that we're going to now dive into. So really that roof consultant has to know what data needs to be obtained, has to have some understanding of the asset management program. Bare bones minimum that need to be included are things such as the future maintenance expectations, types and approximate costs, and most importantly, the life expectancy of that roof so that it can be possibly proactively recovered to minimize future costs, such as removal that might not be necessary if a new roof is installed prior to the roof getting wet. So now we have all this data and we need to make decisions. Well, data is just data. And the old adage of garbage in, garbage out applies. If you have garbage in and it yields garbage out, you're going to make bad decisions and that's going to cost you money. And that's what this all boils down to. Saving money or spending money. We want to save money. If you have good data, you plug it into a well-designed, custom-tailored asset management software program, you are then able to make wise decisions. And you don't need to be a roof consultant to make the wise decisions. The owner can change the variables and the parameters of what's important to them this week or this year or this decade. The software doesn't need any major, possibly any modifications to change those parameters or importance levels so that the owner can make a decision of where and how they want to spend their money to best suit their needs and their goals. So that being said, once you have all the data, I'll pass it over to Erik and he'll start talking about the scope and development.
Thanks, Remo. So just very briefly, the scope development for asset management programs is really about how do you take all of these things that Leah was talking about in terms of concepts, the why, well, extending lives and saving money on roofs, and the what's important that Remo was talking about. How do you take all that and develop it into an asset management program? The tools and the software are always changing, but the basic principles remain the same. You need to have actionable information that you can work from. So how do you get the right scope? Really, it's a personal thing. Every organization, every individual is going to have a different sort of program that fits their needs best. So, what decisions are you trying to make? One size doesn't fit all, and there's certainly a vast spectrum of what's possible. Some strategies may look good on paper, but the greatest challenge lies in consistently gathering information and being able to apply the prioritization strategy through years and through multiple changes in the industry and in your facilities, so you can see the trees for the forest. And part of that is getting actionable information. And just as a basic sort of case in point here, sometimes we're looking at property or facility condition assessment reports, and we'll see a basic language such as repair and maintenance of the roofing will help prolong the life of the roof. And probably think to ourselves, well, duh. I mean, the owner probably already knows that the roofing assembly has some problems. I mean, that's why they hired somebody to begin with to come out and look at it. So having something that's more specific about remove and replace roofing in this particular location of the parapet that includes installation of a new coping, for the reasons why, that kind of information can lead to more actionable data and can lead to recommendations that can actually be used. So I'm going to go through a brief case study here that talks about how we used roof asset management programs for one particular client. And this is an example of this one approach for this one particular school district that involves collecting vast amounts of data pulled from a variety of sources into one place so that it's useful for making decisions. The tools we've used to gather the information and analyze it have changed over time. And increasingly, these tools have made analysis of the data easier to format into useful information. And some of the advances in technology have also led to new discoveries and connections that we couldn't make before, or at least not easily, by using some of the newer digital tools. So I'm going to show you some of that. This particular school district in Texas is somebody we've been working with for about 15 years, tracking their roof assets. They have 92 facilities, most of which are school campuses, but also involve athletics facilities and administrative buildings. Overall, they have a total of about 10 million square feet of roofing, with ages ranging from 1 to 32 years. The program's evolved over the years, and really in response to adapting to the needs the school district has, and what stuff was useful and what stuff wasn't. And kind of currently, the goals of the roof management program are to extend the roof life cycles and optimize life cycle costs, and that's the primary thing. Second only to that is scheduling maintenance instead of reacting to emergencies, because emergencies mean that they have to spend money that they had earmarked for something else. And scheduling re-roofing based on condition and not age. Just because the 20-year warranty is run out doesn't mean that the roof necessarily has to be replaced at that time. So some of our challenges have been getting consistency in reports and ratings, particularly between different inspectors, getting an output that works with the district's funding and procurement standards, particularly their way of funding and allocating projects, and then keeping the information current. So what do I mean by optimizing life cycle costs? Well, it's very much the same thing that Leah was talking about in one of the first slides. It's about being able to get the most value out of the roofs. And for a long-term building owner, like a school district, roof replacements are a major cyclical capital investment. I mean, more so than most other building components, they need to be replaced and have money infused into the roofing of their many campuses on a regular basis. So if you figure just kind of running hypothetical numbers here on the current value, if something around 10 million square feet of roofing is currently worth $290 million in today's roofing costs, if those roofs are only going to last 15 years, you would have to spend 1/15 of that total replacement value every year just to keep the steady state of replacing roofs that are wearing out. And that would come to about $19 million a year. If instead you're able to extend those to 25 years through good maintenance and smart assessment and smart activities and planning, then that could reduce that cost down to 1/25 of that total value every year that you'd have to spend to replace roofs, replacing 1/25 of your roof inventory at a cost of about $11.5 million. So it's a pretty substantial difference in annual cost just because of the benefits of planning, good maintenance, and taking care of your assets. So like Remo was talking about, the way we do that is doing periodic assessments so that we know what we have. We survey about 15 to 20% of the facilities each year, compile the results, track it continuously by using an online database, currently using an online database, and then plan for the major expenditures at intervals. And it's a continuous cycle, understanding the condition of the assets, addressing current problems, and planning for the future, doing the conditions, the repairs, the repair designs, the construction, in a continuous cycle to keep everything in tip-top shape, or at least acceptable shape. And really the things that are most important even though I have my own preferences about what's a beautiful flashing, it's really not about that. It's about trying to address issues that leak or may lead to leaks, addressing durability of the roof system, because being able to optimize that life cycle is real dollars, and also addressing things that pose a risk to maintenance personnel, because they need to maintain their roofs, and the maintenance personnel need to be able to safely access them. And even though that's not really roofing, quote, quote, it is involved in the roof, and we're there and can observe it and help them take care of that. So as my colleagues expressed, it really all starts by understanding what you have and continuously doing that. We do this about every 5 years. And the system that we use for doing it for this particular client is kind of based on the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers roofer program that they developed many years ago, with the idea being that if you can have a organized and consistent way of rating certain conditions on a roof, be it a split, a blister, a deteriorated sealant, or a failed pitch pan, in a consistent way, that you can get ratings between different inspectors that can be then compared pretty consistently as well. And it's a combination of a membrane condition index and a flashing condition index rated from 0 to 100 that together create a roof condition index. The system we're currently using is a little bit different and has evolved a little bit based on the specific needs of this school district, but essentially it's the same 0 to 100 score, and just kind of evolved and customized for this particular use. And this is kind of an example where each one of these blue bars represents a campus, and about 65 represents what we'd consider good condition, and everything below that we're starting to watch more closely. One of the best recent advancements is the accessibility of data and information through an online cloud-based database. And I'm going to spend a few minutes showing you the database that we're currently using for one of our clients, which is developed on the QuickBase platform. This is probably the 4th or 5th generation of that same roof asset database for this client. Past versions have used the Roofer program, which I just mentioned, but also Microsoft Access. We've used SQL servers, SQL servers, as well as Microsoft SharePoint and other things. QuickBase is by far the best and easiest to use so far, just in my humble opinion. This will not be a deep dive into the software, so please don't feel like you have to understand everything that's on the screen. Instead, I just want to highlight a few of the features and functions that have been useful for roof asset management for this client's particular needs. So this is the home page, the dashboard for this thing, and it has general information on the breakdown of the different facility types, breakdown of different roofing types that we have in the district, and all of these can be drilled down to gather more information. The data can be shown in a variety of different ways. For instance, this chart of the roof condition indices that I was just mentioning is there, as well as a breakdown of different expenditures over time. Each one of these can be clicked to drill down into more data, but makes kind of a nice summary. It's very personalized for each user and what they need. So we use this database dashboard as kind of the jumping off point for getting information. And again, it can be displayed in a variety of different ways. But say I wanted to know some specific information about one particular campus, like for instance, Woodstone Elementary School. I could filter the data in the facilities to what the elementary schools are. That still leaves me with like 73 facilities. So I could also do a keyword search and then drill down to the school I'm really looking for. Maybe I want to know what is the makeup of the school. I can see it's a gravel built-up roof from the satellite view. You can pull down some specific information on each one of the roof sections. It tells me what the roof system types are by area and when they were installed, who the manufacturer and the roofing installer originally were, and some information on the warranties. So what I really want to know is what this 2003 warranty is really about, and perhaps I have a claim that I need to check on. Well, there's a page associated with this that includes an actual copy of the warranty, as well as a listing of any claims, and also information about what roof sections it applies to on that particular roof, so I can compare what's applicable. And if I wanted to look at the actual fine print the warranty form is there and downloadable, so I could really look at, all the information there, say, wondering if there is a wind rider, that brings the wind speed up or something like that. So that sort of information is very helpful. If I want to jump back to the facilities, all of these kind of hyperlinks, work for jumping back to, wherever you need to. It's totally nonlinear sort of access. The roof surveys, that are listed here would tell me what the most recent surveys were and what the roof condition index was from those. You could see, kind of 7 years apart, the conditions dropped a little. And so that tells me some about what the current condition of those roofs are. But say I was looking for more general information on roofing manufacturers or roofers that have worked in the district. Well, there's these pie charts here would tell me a little bit of information about how much roof area that these have done and, proportionally to the rest of the district. And if I wanted to drill down and find out how much and what roofs this manufacturer has roofing systems on, I could develop a report through drilling down to see what those are. And, this might tell me that, most of those roofs, even some pretty old ones, are actually still in good condition. And few of them are currently being planned for replacement. Might tell me something about, the quality of that roof. Or perhaps maybe I'm interested in more the relative age and condition of asphalt built-up roofs in the district. I could filter the system for just that roofing type, and then filter it further for a roof rating of 3, which would be about roof replacement being recommended. And then I could show you, which roofs are currently being recommended for replacement of that type pretty quickly. For that matter, all the roof survey items from our roof survey reports are also accessible here with a representative photograph. Say I just wanted to know, out of these 3,900 items in here, which ones are related to failed pitch pans. I could, type in pitch pan and then get a listing of which ones those are. I can see that there's 52 items out of the 3,900 that are related to pitch pans, and even drill down into one of those particular items so I can gather a little bit more information. And I can see here that particular item is related to Woodstone Elementary School, and that's what it looks like right there, which is kind of a low flashing. So at any rate, the whole idea is that this is kind of an interactive and nonlinear database. The reporting is very sort of straightforward, and ultimately, the type of report you get out of there is really up to you. It's very flexible. One of the things we produce for this school district is a PDF report like this. It summarizes the roofs that we're estimating are going to be in need over the next 5 years, so it can start to put together a plan for an upcoming potential bond. But it's really up to you about what it is. One of the kind of interesting things that we did with this recently, since we have all the survey items loaded into the database, is we were able to really customize what kind of roof repairs we help prepare the district for. One of the things we do for them is maintain a roofing repair manual that includes details and specifications for common roof repairs, so that they can engage roofers on a job order contractor basis, rather than requiring the development of contract documents, drawings and specs for each repair project. That offers them more flexibility to get things done without a protracted and bureaucratic procurement process. And so what we found is, by doing some data analysis, is that about half the items that routinely came up in our survey reports were these same things that are on the screen here, including flashing boots, cap sheet blisters, failed pitch pans, failed sealants, things like that, real common stuff. And so we were able to develop a repair manual that really focused on these things, as well as a few other common things we know happen, so that most of the things that come up on their roofs that they need to maintain and repair, they already had the information for. It makes the hiring of a roofing contractor easier. So overall, we're helping the school district achieve the program goals of extending the life of the roofs and making major maintenance and repairs more predictable. And that's because we have an owner that's committed to life cycle costing, and because we're using data about condition and not age to make decisions about roof repairs and replacements, because we have a AE team with substantial roofing experience and good judgment to interpret the data, and an owner team that is dedicated to staying the course for the long term. All of these are a recipe for success. So now I'm going to turn it over to Leah to talk to us about another case study.
Thanks, Eric. So this is a case study for an institutional client of ours. They hired us to assess kind of a diverse portfolio of properties they have, ranging in size and age and construction type. I think we looked at about 90 buildings total. And really they were looking to move from a generation of deferred maintenance and a reactive nature to a proactive nature. And because they had too many conditions that were again, like I said, reactive. So this is an example of a facade where they noticed the brick was moving away from the substrate and called us out. We took a look, said you should probably put up some fencing, and 2 days later the wall collapsed. So similar concept on a roof. This is a different client, different situation, but we got called out to look at this roof and noted that they had removed all of the ballast from one half of the roof in order to install solar panels. And by doing so, they had removed the ability, for the ballast to keep the roof membrane down. So there was no means of mechanical or any kind of attachment anymore. Notified them of this, that they were susceptible to a potential blow off situation. And lo and behold, shortly thereafter, that actually happened. So the roof membrane blew off, and unfortunately this ended up costing them about $5 million to replace or repair. They had to remove all the solar panels, re-roof, put all the solar panels back. So again, kind of going back to the case study, the objective was to shift from the reactive mindset into the proactive mindset. And by doing so, or by implementing an asset management program, it allowed them to do so. So I'm going to zoom forward to some outputs. Again, we used QuickBase for this effort and gathered a lot of data and information from the field. We assigned a score to these conditions that we looked at, along with other kind of qualifying items. So in this instance, you can see we identified it as imminently hazardous, critical, advanced, moderate, and minor. And my intention here is to just show you some of those static outputs that QuickBase or maybe a similar software can provide you with. So what you see here is a pie chart. Shows that about 75% of the conditions we noted were minor and moderate, but about 25% fell in that advanced, critical, and imminently hazardous. Allowed you kind of a big picture image of which conditions do I need to go tackle quickly, and then I can start peeling back and maybe addressing some of the lesser critical items. Another graphic. This is a bar chart. On the bottom you have location. On the right hand side you have a repair cost. On the left hand was the building risk index, so that building score. It was a summation of all of the conditions and their individual scores. So the red is highlighting the total repair cost, and the blue is the building score. So kind of zooming into one of them, identified the building risk index at 411, the total repair cost at about 2.3 million. But all in all, it just provides an opportunity to visually compare repair cost relative to risk, and compare each facility relative to each other. Again, another kind of version of a graphic here. Bottom is the property, right hand side building risk, building score, left hand side is repair value index. So the repair value is the blue, the building score is the red, and this graphic is showing the cost effectiveness of repairs, or how much risk is addressed per dollar spent. So in this instance, you'd have to spend a lot in order to make any headway, and might be a good candidate for offloading this asset. But like I said, it just gives you that big picture imagery of comparing buildings relative to each other. Another opportunity is to track information. So this is total risk mitigated. So on the left, you see the building risk index, so the building score. Bottom is the property. And the red and the green indicate sort of your remaining risk and then your mitigated risk. So as you track repairs, that green sort of takes over relative to the red. So for example, the bar on the left, you're in pretty good shape. We've addressed a lot of those conditions and have almost eliminated that building from being an issue. Far right, still a lot of red left to go. So we have some risk still to manage there. So some conditions still to repair, but again, a nice graphic to give you the bigger picture of where are my buildings, how am I doing, how are they doing relative to one another. And really it's all the same data. We're just manipulating it in a different way to get different results so that we can make decisions based on that data. And it was all tailored for this client in particular. So brief overview, asset management keys to having a successful program really relies on collaboration between the owner and the AE firm. That's all also based on technically sound inputs in order to get quality outputs for reliable decision making. One of the tools we've used and we highlighted during our case studies was QuickBase for implementing these asset management programs. But all in all, the goal is really to facilitate planning and budgeting to optimize efforts and save money. So extend service life, maximize value, save money, kind of primary objectives there. So if you're interested in implementing one of these, we'd be happy to discuss more, but also want to allow some time for some questions right now. So I'll pass it back to Liz.
All right, thank you, Leah. That was a great presentation. We will turn it over to questions now. As a reminder, if you have a question, please type it into the Q&A box and hit submit. We'll try to get to as many questions as we can before the end of the hour, but if we aren't able to get to your question, one of the presenters will follow up with you after. Okay, let's take our first question. This is about the database that you demonstrated. Is this a proprietary WJE database that's been developed internally? Do you give clients direct access?
This is Erik, I can answer that question. Yes, it is. That is an app in the QuickBase platform that we developed internally. And we do have direct access available to our clients for it. The amount of control that any user has is pretty variable and easily customizable. So somebody could just have read access, somebody could have read-write access over certain portions of it. So like, for instance, there might be just read access for the actual roof information and warranty information, but read-write access for inputting warranty claim updates and things like that, and work orders.
Okay, our next question. How do you capture repair information and cost information into the asset management database with all different vendors performing work?
This is Erik. I think I can answer that one as well. It's very much the same way. I mean, if I am understanding the question correctly, that various different users can have access to the database, not just us folks here at WJE. So various different vendors that might have information to enter. If that's the way that particular database and that program is set up, they could have access to be able to do that. Otherwise, information that we have available to us that's provided by the owner can also be entered by us and maintained there.
Okay, our next question. What is the added cost savings by eliminating the damages?
Well, this is Remo. It varies depending upon the buildings. So there's no one answer to that. It's one of those things that the asset management program can spit out and give you an output on, but it has to be in place in order for you to understand the value of eliminating those potential future damages. It's different if you're a museum versus a warehouse. So it's very subject to the facility that is being reviewed.
Okay, our next question. What is the average cost of the online asset management software?
I can tell you, this is Erik again. I can tell you that the QuickBase platform that we're using, at least on a user by user basis, it's for my clients anyway, it's a subscription-based thing. So about $30 a seat per person per month, just for access to the software and the cloud-based online access. The setup of it is another matter, and so it kind of depends on the complexity of it. But it can take a little time to gather the data and input it in there. So the database development is kind of part and parcel to the assessment work that goes into the initial data that you need.
Okay, our next question. Can we use this tool to predict repairs or replacements on a year-by-year basis so we can financially plan 10 to 20 years out as well as 2 to 5 years out?
Yeah, short answer there, yes. I think once you've gathered all the initial information, it kind of creates a clear path forward relative to the other buildings you might own and maintenance that's occurred to date. So yeah, that's the whole intent, is that it gives you that plan and that clear picture.
All right, our next question. Is the language on a roofing warranty ever negotiable in your experience, or is it take it or leave it?
Remo?
It's negotiable, but don't expect to get very far. They'll always talk to you, but very often they won't budge. What you can typically negotiate are wind speeds and maybe some of the exclusions, but not many. Unfortunately, it's a take it or leave it kind of thing. And in my experience, I've actually advised clients sometimes to not take the warranty. You're better protected by statutory warranties than by the manufacturer's warranty, which the first line says this warranty is in lieu of any state or federal warranty or guarantee, express or implied. It essentially voids everything else that's out there and makes the manufacturer's warranty the be-all, end-all. So it's a lawyer question, but sometimes it's better not to have a warranty, quite frankly.
All right, our next question. Do you have to have dozens of buildings or roofs to make a roof asset management program beneficial?
This is Erik. I don't think you do, but there is a certain amount of effort and time involved in developing a program. So to some degree, I mean, since we've been doing this, we have, the bones of databases and programs and processes built. So depending on how much customization is required, it may be worth it. But if it's a lot of customization, there's probably an economy to scale to having more buildings associated with it. But really, the same process applies no matter how many facilities you have. And I do think that there's value to it, just because the cost of not planning is far greater than having a proactive approach.
All right. These next two questions are both kind of about the mechanics of moving data in and out of the asset management program. So the first question is, we are managing our roofing assets via Excel spreadsheets. If we provided our spreadsheets, can those be easily converted into and used as the basis of the online database? And then the related question is, can the data be exported out?
This is Erik. I can address this one again. Absolutely. Taking a spreadsheet table and importing into the database is a very good way of getting information from one format, regardless of what it is, even if it's not just spreadsheets, into the database. The database is a relational database, so it's really about connecting different tables of information, but it's pretty easy to do. And similarly, you can export the data out of it into spreadsheet formats pretty easily, as well as if you have other software programs, there's a way to connect the software together to be able to communicate directly to. All of it takes kind of some time to decide how you want that to happen and then setting it up to do that.
Okay, our next question. How does your company handle a roof assessment when there are no safe tie-offs on the roof?
Well, that's always a challenge. The assessment is not necessarily textbook and easy. We kind of have a saying, do your best and we fly the rest. Remote access via cranes, via drones, long distance, high power binoculars and photographic equipment are all ways to do some assessments. The drone is really a revolution. I personally have done with a broken leg a detailed roof inspection from the ground because I was not able to actually climb the ladder. So it's pretty much as good as being there. You just can't touch it, but you can get within inches of it with today's drone technology. It's a very site-specific question and a very site-specific answer, but you do your best. And there are technologies these days that are almost as good as being there. LiDAR is one also insofar as visual data acquisition, very helpful, but there's a lot of new toys out there that are very helpful.
Okay, our next question. For general maintenance staff who are not roofing trade experts, what should maintenance staff be looking for when doing the monthly and post-rain event inspections? Some topics mentioned during the presentation were debris and branches. Any other recommendations?
This again is almost common sense. We would not suggest or require facility maintenance staff to be trained roof observers. It's just like you hear at the TSA airport. If you see something, say something. If it doesn't look right, it probably isn't. It's just common sense. If something is not square plumb and true, if something is different at one location than it is at a different location, you're looking for continuity. You're looking for neat, clean, and tidy. If it's doesn't check those boxes, take a picture, make a note, and tell somebody. And then every time the roofing contractor shows up, they'll look at it and determine if it's something that requires an action or if it's just something that is what it is. But the simple answer is, if it looks funky, tell somebody.
Okay, our next question. What methodology did you use to develop the risk score?
Yeah, I can jump in there. For the case study I mentioned, this is Leah. It was a process. So, tagging the critical, imminently hazardous, those all had their own score assigned to it. And then in addition to that, where was the condition we were noting? Was it over an entrance or was it in the back of the house? And then how pervasive was the condition? Is it, a little 1 square foot or is it 100 square feet? So it took some time, but it was an algorithm that we did develop in order to generate that score. Erik, I know you mentioned, you referenced the Army Corps of Engineers for your assessment.
For the roofer program,
yep.
Right? Which is similar. I mean, each type of item has a certain rating, and the quantity of the item, the size of the split, or the size of the blister, or the quantity of them leads to different sort of ratings. The Army Corps of Engineers, as you can imagine, was extremely detailed about how they did those sort of assessments. So it's a great sort of rating system, very organized.
Okay, thank you, Erik. And thank you, Remo and Leah. That was a great presentation. That is all the time that we have for questions today. We want to thank you all for joining us. We hope it's been educational. So again, thank you so much for your time, and we hope you have a great rest of the day.